In the future, how hard will Geometry Dash levels get? Now, I'm sure most of you guys are very familiar with the Geometry Dash demon list, which ranks the hardest rated demons in the game that have been legitimately verified. So in order to find out how difficult future levels will be, we'll have to find out how close today's top levels are to the skill cap. Now, the skill cap in our case would be the point at which a level becomes so difficult to complete that it becomes near impossible to be dethroned by any other level. Now, there's a lot of debates about how close we are to set skill cap, or if it even exists. With levels nowadays being super difficult and only very few players making any significant progress on them, many people just look at a hard level and immediately assume the difficulty without having any progress on it whatsoever. One of those hard levels is Slaughterhouse, currently the hardest demon according to the demon list. Slaughterhouse at first sight looks incredibly difficult. When looking at the level for the first time, you might think to yourself, how could anyone ever beat this?
That's impossible. This is something I don't know how people do that.
The level's atmosphere is super intense and does a really good job at making you feel like there's nothing that could ever compete with this level. Slaughterhouse currently has 7 total victors and 11 more players with really good progress that potentially might complete the level in near future. In my opinion, that's quite a lot of people for a level that others call semi-impossible and the skill cap of Geometry Dash. So let's look at what makes this level so difficult in the first place and what another level would have to do in order to be deemed more difficult. Now, arguably the hardest part in Slaughterhouse is 50 to 58%, aka River's part. This is probably the most memorable part of the level because of how ridiculously insane it looks. I've heard many things about this one wave section, such as that every input is apparently a frame perfect or something. So let's turn on the hitboxes and see if that's true. Now, when I set my game to 60 FPS, I found out that 18 of the total 30 inputs required to pass River are frame perfect. Now, an input is either a click or release. In total, you have to click 15 times, which equals to 30 inputs. Now, 18 frame perfects sounds ridiculous, and coincidentally reminds me of another level. Anyways, as we all know, no one actually plays Slaughterhouse on 60 FPS. When playing on 144Hz or 360F bypass, which are the most common methods of playing, a 60 FPS frame perfect becomes just another regular tied input, like any other. So over the next few hours, I spent a few thousand attempts in order to beat River myself. I basically did it, come on, like last click. So after doing a few runs on Slaughterhouse myself, I can confidently say that while yes, some parts in this level are insanely difficult and even more hard to pass from the beginning, the level itself is quite fair to the player. Each hard wave section only lasts for about a few seconds until it switches to an easier part. Now again, I'm not saying this level is easy in any way, but fair and short. Now, talking about level length, I've seen multiple people speculating that future top levels that will be deemed harder than Slaughterhouse will remain of similar difficulty but increase in length. Now, some people might argue that this isn't true at all, because there is already a level that people say is more difficult than Slaughterhouse despite being only 15 seconds long. The level I'm talking about is VSC, the hardest challenge in the game. Just in case you didn't know, there's a separate list from the demon list called the challenge list, which functions very similar in that it ranks the hardest challenge levels in the game. So you can imagine that if a short level is said to be of similar difficulty than a long level, that the short level has significantly harder gameplay. That exactly is the case for VSC. Almost every click in this level is a 60 FPS frame perfect. Plus, the whole level is super dark, and you can barely see the obstacles sometimes. Now, doing all the wave parts in Slaughterhouse, yeah, that almost felt easy compared to getting more than 8% on the 16-second level. Now, I'm not a good player at all, but from what I've seen other good players say, we can confidently say that VSC is probably the hardest level that has ever been beaten in the game. But in conclusion, I think it's hard to say if we've hit the skill ceiling for Geometry Dash or not. Top players are already complaining about how difficult and annoying to play top demons are. Just take Acheron as an example, and it seems to only get worse from here. Some players claim that the only way to make a level that could dethrone the top one is to make an annoying, unforgiving, and outright unplayable horrible level. So do you think Geometry Dash has hit its skill ceiling, or that we are not even close at all? Honestly, I have no idea. So leave your thoughts in the comments and like and sub if you enjoyed it.